Tonight is a special night. I'm going to be brewing a Brett Saison inspired by my good friend Albert Turner, and we worked in collaboration with this beer, something that we wanted to do. He lives all the way in Oklahoma. I'm not sure how I'm going to get him this beer. It's going to be like a year before it's done. But I sent him a list of ingredients that I had on hand, and he told me basically an outline of what he wanted. I drew up the recipe. He said it looked good, so we're going to go ahead and brew it. What I got here is 8.5 pounds of Golden Promise, a pound of Munich, and a ½ pound of aromatic. We're going to be using Southern Cross for our bittering hop. Some Willamette at 5 minutes. We're going to dry hop with a bunch of Southern Cross and Willamette while that's in the primary. So first I'm just going to pitch Yeast Farmhouse blend, and I'm going to ferment that for probably 2 weeks, and then I'll rack it off into a secondary with Omega's All the Bretts strain, and that'll sit for like a year. Shout out to Albert Turner, aka Big Sarge. Thanks for helping me with this recipe. Let's go get her brewed. Alright, so I got all my hoses hooked up. I got my temperature probe hooked up. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going to start getting my mash water up to the temperature that I want to mash at. So I got a hose going from my mash tun to the bottom of the pump. That comes back up through the Herms coil. Gonna circulate around in there, come back up, and spit back out into the mash tun. There is absolutely no element, no heat in here. All the heating gets done in the hot liquor tank. And my temperature probe is right here on the outlet so that I know what it's coming out at. And this is the setup that I use for my Herms system. We are boiling right now. I was supposed to have about 6.5 gallons into the boil kettle before boiling. I had about 7, so I'm going to probably boil for an extra 20 to 30 minutes, which certainly won't hurt my beer. It'll only help it, so it'll help drive off some extra DMS. So that's where we're at. Sit and wait for 20 to 30 minutes. If there's any extra wort left over from the mash, I like to steal it to dissolve my yeast nutrient into for later on in the boil. I've been boiling for like 10 minutes. It's sitting at about, I don't know, under 7 gallons, and that's hot. So when it gets cool, it'll actually be a lot less than that. So let's just start brewing. Set a timer for 60 minutes.
Your timer is set for 1 hour.
Alright, so I went and moved my boil kettle over to the side that's by the sink. One thing Al told me was to make sure that I document brew day as best as possible. So this is part of brew day. Sometimes I move my kettles around, sometimes I leave them put, sometimes I worry about things, sometimes I don't. So what I'm going to do right now is I got my water out hooked up. That's the most important thing, so it goes into my sink. And then I'm just going to hook up some hoses and stuff like that and get that situated because we got about 30 minutes left of the boil. 15-minute Whirl Flock tablet edition. Got some Y yeast, 3726 Farmhouse Ale yeast. I pulled that out before I started brewing. I kind of forgot I'm used to using Omega, so I just smacked the pack right now. It'll be a little bit before I pitch it anyway, but I get that baby out. Sanitizer spray. Don't spray in the beer. Yeast nutrient dissolved in some warm wort that's now cooled down. 10-minute addition.
Get it off my back. I don't wanna dance around the subject. You and I both know better than that.
5-minute addition. Half an ounce of Willamette. 4-minute and 40-second edition, rather. A little late. We got like 3 minutes left. What I like to do right now, make sure my pump's cool. I like to get a little whirlpool going. It's going through my plate chill and everything else. Just that hot boiling water to sanitize, sterilize everything, you know, for a couple minutes. Our timer's going on. Nothing like a little steam burn, that's cool. Alright. Stop timer. Let's get some chaos on. Okay. Killing the element. My wort's already recycling through. I'm at boiling temps, 212. Got everything hooked up. I'm gonna get that cool down to about 180. Alright. I was at like 185. Alright. We're about 179. Ounce and a half of Southern Cross. An ounce of Willamette. Set a timer for 3 minutes.
Your timer is set for 3 minutes.
We're gonna let that whirlpool for 3 minutes and then we'll kill it and let it rest and sit and settle out for about 15. Alright, timer's going off. I'm gonna kill the pump. Quickly shut my valves. Set a timer for 20 minutes.
Your timer is set for 20 minutes.
So what I learned over the years of whirlpooling is that you want to do a short little whirlpool, get it up to terminal velocity as fast as it can possibly go, and then just stop. Because otherwise the more you run it through the pump and stuff like that, the more the pieces of hops get broken down and it's harder for them to settle out. So just a quick little spin, let it rest for 15 to 20 minutes. So for this 5-gallon batch, I'm going to hook up my through meter, my Blickman through meter. I don't want to whirlpool my hops anymore. Usually I chill while I run it through the plate chiller. I don't want to do that on this small batch. So I'm going to hook this up instead of my line returning to my kettle. So what this thing lets me do is basically control my water cooling rate. So the boiling hot water, well, 40 degree water, we're almost beer, is going through the plate chiller, and then I control how much water goes into the plate chiller, and I dial it down to 65 degrees, 60 degrees, 80 degrees, whatever I want. I still haven't decided what I want to ferment this beer at. I think that I'm going to do it on the high end because I don't think I'm going to be drinking it for a long time, so maybe the esters will kind of die down. So I might ferment this at like 80 degrees, so maybe I'll cool this to 75, 70. I haven't really decided yet. I just make wild decisions as I go. All right. Plate chiller's cooling down. We'll see what happens. Sometimes when I do this, the gravity feeds it through and I don't even have to turn on the pump, which is cool. We'll see what Mother Nature lets me do here. So it is coming out. I'm gonna turn up the pump though, just so that I don't get it into my fermenter at like 30 degrees. .72-ish. 72 would be cool with me. I'm okay with that. So this thing is also aerating my wort for me, which makes my yeast really, really happy. So we're sitting at about 4.5 gallons. Temperature says about 72. I'm happy with that. I boiled very vigorously on purpose. Looks like everything turned out all right. Let's go ahead and pitch our yeast. That's cool. I'm gonna let this baby kind of free rise. And then from there, maybe I'll take it up to like 80 degrees. I like to get that out of there. So what I like to do is then tape a seedling heat mat on there, get it ready for when I want to jack up the temperature. So I pitched my yeast at 72, maybe it'll get up to like 76 during fermentation, and then I want to hold that temperature, maybe even jack it up to 80 degrees, and then hold that so that I get the maximum Saison farmhouse esters out of this beer. And then I'll stick my probe inside of a paper towel. It's about 8 hours after pitching yeast. Let's go ahead and add our Brettanomyces. Alright, we got our carboy sitting there. It's going to sit there until it reaches its final gravity, then we'll rack it into a keg. See how long that takes.